Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT This Morning.
Now at 6:30, we're hearing from a man who fought off 2 intruders overnight, and we'll have details about that. And also, we'll be looking at the weather this morning. We had some severe storms through the region yesterday.
That's exactly what we're going to be tracking for today. A cluster of showers and thunderstorms down toward the south and southeast. Once that moves on out, we get a big break in the action, and we do it all over again as we go throughout the day. I'll show you that coming up.
And we're hearing from a man who fought off 2 intruders overnight despite one of them being armed with a gun.
Also, we have an update on the Centerpoint project in downtown Lexington. We'll have those stories and more, and breaking news as it happens. It's coming up on WKYT This Morning. Hello there, good morning and welcome. It's so good to have you with us on Tuesday, October 7th as we get this new day off and rolling. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. We're hearing that we've got to take advantage of the dry weather while it lasts.
Well, when it gets here tomorrow,
yeah.
Right, for one day. But just like yesterday, we're looking for the potential for some severe weather today. There's a possibility that will be a much more isolated. Here's what was going on last night. Balls of ice covered some roads yesterday, including a stretch of I-75 in Madison County. A lot of lightning also caused problems. The state police post there in Richmond was hit by lightning. That caused some electrical damage. And this, again, is another WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day. Meteorologist Micah Harris says today's storms shouldn't be quite that threat. Let's join him right now, and as we look at the First Alert Defender. Micah?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's more isolated for today than, say, widespread or spotty, whatever you want to call it, like you saw yesterday. But there's an incredible video of the hail-covered ground, not so much snow. It looked like snow, but it was hail. And we could be seeing that again today if some of these storms get going. We'll try to watch those and see how they turn out. Down toward the southeast, holding on to showers and thunderstorms there, and all that's moving over toward the east, so pretty soggy start to the day for the Mountain Parkway and also Howard Rogers Parkway. Watch out for that as you're traveling this morning. Day part planner, we go throughout the day, and look, we're going to have those spotty storms this afternoon, but I think they push on out, and once they do, we actually have a dry day in store. But there's only one in your 7-day, and we have to take advantage of it. I'll talk about when that falls, and also we'll really dive deep into this First Alert Severe Weather Day coming up in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Micah.
Severe weather yesterday also dumped some hail in Garrett County.
Deidre shared these eyewitness pictures with us. They were taken at her home in Lancaster. You can see the hail covered her deck along with an outdoor table, and she said the hail piled up 7 inches deep in one spot, looking like snow. And take a look at this picture out of Casey County. Some marble-sized hail piled up on a porch there. And if you have eyewitness pictures or video, we'd like to see them. Just look for the eyewitness section on WKYT.com or share them with us on our Facebook or Twitter pages. And new this morning, we are hearing from one of the victims now of an overnight home invasion. With the help of his dad, he says they were able to fight off 2 men who broke into their Madison County home early today.
All this despite one of the intruders being armed with a gun. WKYT's Sean Moody is live outside the home with reaction from one of those victims. Good morning.
Good morning. He told me he's still pretty rattled. He said he was sitting on his couch when 2 men burst in from the front door. One of them, he said, had a handgun, but by the time this whole thing was over, police say it was the 2 men who they say burst in who needed medical attention. Road in Madison County. Chris Caldwell didn't want his face shown, but he told me he was on his computer on the couch when 2 men burst through the door. He said they were wearing masks and gloves, and one of them had a handgun. He says they told him not to move and asked if anyone else was inside. He says he told them his father was down the hall, and that's when he says he saw a chance to fight back.
Took the gun off me for a second. They aimed it down the hallway, and at that point I just rushed them, disarmed the guy with the gun. The gun fell on the ground. It broke. At that point, my dad, he had ran in and he was helping me. We basically subdued him, messed him up a little bit, and waited for the cops to get there.
Police say emergency crews took the 2 men to UK Hospital. They say their injuries are not life-threatening. Police also say the 2 men will face charges, but they're not sure exactly what those charges will be just yet. Live in Madison County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Also new this morning, we're tracking the investigation into a deadly crash. It happened last night in Scott County. 1 woman was killed. Her passenger is at UK Hospital. WKYT's Whitney Wetzel is there live with all the details, all new this morning.
Good morning, everyone. The Scott County coroner tells us the driver died at this scene. The passenger in that crash was taken here to UK Hospital shortly after the accident, but he is expected to be okay. The crash happened around 9:30 last night on the 4100 block of Owenton Road in Stamping Ground. Police say 46-year-old Melanie Morton was driving an orange pickup when she dropped off one side of the road, overcorrected, and then hit a tree on the other side of the road. Morton died from the impact of the crash. We're told the passenger was a friend of hers. He was standing outside of the truck by the time crews got there. Tucker Yoakum Wilson Funeral Home in Georgetown will be handling Morton's arrangements. Meanwhile, police are still investigating the cause of the crash. They do not believe that wet roads played a part in the accident. However, they do believe that speed and alcohol were possible factors. Live at UK Hospital, Whitney Watzel, WKYT.
Well, friends of a former UK football player injured after falling at Commonwealth Stadium say it will be a long road to recovery. They say Brad Durham is in a medically induced coma at UK Hospital, but he can move his arms and legs. He does not have brain damage, we're told. Durham fell from the upper deck of the stadium while celebrating Saturday night's win over South Carolina. UK President Dr. Eli Capilouto says the university is pulling for Durham.
Members of our athletic department were at the hospital most of the evening, staying with family. We just hope he comes out of this okay.
Durham played for UK from 2007 until 2010.
4 suspended UK football players are eligible to play this weekend. Coach Mark Stoops says freshmen Stanley Boom Williams, Tamara Dubose, Darian Baker, and Drew Barker have been reinstated. The 4 players were suspended after a BB pellet gun scare on the UK campus last weekend. All 4 have been cited for misdemeanors, disorderly conduct. The U.S. Supreme Court has effectively made same-sex marriages legal in 30 states. The High Court has rejected appeals from 5 states that have been trying to enforce their bans on same-sex marriage. Same-sex couples in 6 other states should be able to get married in short order, since those states would be bound by the same appellate rulings that have been put on hold. Here in Kentucky, Governor Steve Beshear says he is waiting for the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decision on gay marriage before deciding what to do next. Yesterday's decision by the High Court does not directly affect Kentucky because the 6th Circuit has yet to rule on the case.
A Spanish nurse is being treated for Ebola in Madrid after possibly contracting the virus from an infected patient. The case is the first known transmission of the outbreak outside of West Africa. In an effort to help contain the virus, President Barack Obama says the U.S. is working on protocols for additional passenger screening at airports in the States and abroad. An American cameraman and Thomas Duncan, the only man diagnosed with the disease in the U.S., both undergoing treatment for Ebola in the United States. Well, Ebola hasn't reached Kentucky yet, and health officials don't really expect it to, but they just want to be prepared just in case. Health leaders from around the state met at the Fayette County Health Department to talk about Ebola yesterday. In the last few months, 2 people had to be quarantined at UK Hospital with Ebola-like symptoms. Neither one of them tested positive for the virus, but health leaders say they still learned a lot from those patients.
Our time is 6:39 on WKYT this morning, and with just a month to go, there appears to have been a shakeup in Kentucky's U.S. Senate race. A new WKYT Herald Leader Bluegrass poll finds Democrat Allison Lundergan Grimes with a slim 2 percentage point lead over Senator Mitch McConnell. That is a 6-point swing from our last poll a month ago. Campaign ads in Kentucky's most expensive election ever hit the air almost a year ago. Later today, we'll be releasing more results from our latest Bluegrass poll, and you can read all of the results at WKYT.com. Developer Dudley Webb says the Centerpoint project is on track in downtown Lexington. Right now, crews are waiting for a tower crane to arrive from another job site. This is a live look at the block in downtown Lexington. Webb says the first building at Centerpoint should be open by about this time next year. And he still says that Jeff Ruby's restaurant will be open in time for the Breeders' Cup next year. So that's the goal. A lot of work to be done.
Any excuse to eat a good steak.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Me.
There you go.
Let's check to see how traffic is moving.
Let's go to Officer Don. Check on live drive traffic at 6:40. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. A lot of construction continues today. They may work on Richmond Road between Manowar and Athens Boonesboro, so I expect a little rough ride through there. For now, we're getting through okay. Let's get a look outside, and we'll show you what's happening as you plan to head out the door this morning for work or school. No wrecks in the way. There's a stalled car on the inner loop of Manowar near Parker's Mill over by the airport. They should clear that here shortly. On I-75-64 through the northern split, we're looking good, and the exit ramps are fine too as we look at our Waze map this morning. Really nothing major happening just yet. We'll keep an eye on things. Traffic headed toward campus, also on the north side. Okay so far. Now back to you.
Hey, Don, thank you so much. 6:41 now on WKYT this morning. It's so good to have you along with us, and a lot more news is on the way.